Okay. Hi, Rex. How are you?
Very good. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you for coming on the show. It's nice to have you with us. As we were talking about just before we got on, most of the people that come on this show are promoting a book, but you're doing something a little bit different, and we've got a video clip which we'll play at the end of the show for people to get a better idea of what it is that you do. You had mentioned reinventing architecture, and you're an inventor, as you said. Tell us what that means.
Well, architecture, as it is now presently conceived, is basically a static structure. It sits there and hopefully looks pretty, but at the very, but it, that's all it does is it sits there. The architecture that I have designed, and it is many different components of architecture. So it's not just about the structure. It's about all different aspects of the architecture. Like we have a kitchen that goes outdoors, living room that goes outdoors, interior elements that move and create different configurations. That all creates an architecture that is malleable, multifunctional, able to provide a higher quality of life. It's more dynamic. It saves energy. So it's the whole idea that a shell that just sits there doesn't even begin to do what needs to be done for a person and their lifestyle in their architecture.
Well, probably the most famous person around who was reinventing what architecture was Frank Lloyd Wright. Looking at some of the pictures on your website and some of his work, I mean, was he inspirational for you?
Yeah, he certainly was. And in fact, he is kind of astonishing in the sense that his architecture does have a feeling of moving. And so, in a way, what I'm doing is an evolution from there in that his structures are beautiful. They are static, but they have a flow to them. And, but mine literally move and flow. So yes, definitely a strong influence. In fact, and you're right to say that some of my products, some of the things I produce, have a lot of that sort of feeling of Frank Lloyd Wright. Yes.
Are your structures that you are designing, are they exclusively single family homes that would need a lot of land space, or are you doing condos and apartments and things for urban dwellers as well?
Great question. First of all, just to say, I am most interested in helping the common man. Some of my best things in terms of the whole idea of reconfigurability and the environment changing deals with smaller structures. For instance, I can show you that basically every condo, even every apartment in the whole world is very dated because I can show you an amazing, exciting environment that happens internally and makes a normal place all of a sudden quite much more exciting, much more useful. In fact, just very briefly, it's a wall that by turning takes the home theater from the living room to the master bedroom and the home office from the master bedroom to the living room, vice versa. Also allows the whole space to open up so that you have one big loft. A lot of people wish they could live in a loft. Then they get a kid and all of a sudden their life becomes sort of same old, same old. The way I create architecture, you get to have everything. You get to have your loft. You get to have your conventional orientation of the home. So again, it's about, in this case, it's about small architecture, but I also do things very big. And some of them, for instance, include the whole building turning. And by it turning, it creates all kinds of reconfiguration for the people indoors. It also is able to attract the sun and produce enough energy for 4 homes. So all scales.
Let me ask you a little bit about that you just mentioned with the sun and solar power, because I know that a lot of people find it a very attractive proposition to be living off grid, to produce enough energy for their home without having to pay the electric company every month and the gas company to heat. Is it viable these days that an average family of four with a 4-bedroom house with a washer and a dryer and a dishwasher and hot water and all that. Is it viable to be able to completely meet the energy needs for that home with solar only?
The answer to that is we could talk for an hour, but very briefly, absolutely, positively. And in fact, and it's not from me, but from solar companies, you can now go all solar. You're saving money. You own the system. It's really crazy not to do it, but yes, you can do that. And there's other ramifications to it. So this is something that I go into in great detail. I talk about how my structures are like sailing yachts, where most of architecture, most people's homes are like motorboats. So a motorboat, you push on the gas and the thing roars off and it burns fuel and it gets wherever you want to go. And if it breaks down, tough luck, you're stuck out in the middle of the ocean. A sailing yacht works with nature. So sometimes you go faster than you do other times, depending on the wind. Some people don't want to live that way. They just want to hit the gas and go, go, go. There is a way to live in balance with nature and be in harmony and working with nature. And that's part of the idea of sailing. So conceivably, if you, I mean, as I say, you can be totally off the grid, and that's another topic, how the utility company supports you on cloudy days. That's all wonderful. But if you really want to be free and be on your own and be like in a sailing yacht, you actually manage your lifestyle to work with nature and the time of the day and various events. So I personally find that exciting. But the fact of the matter is, that technologically, yes, there's no reason to be on the grid right now. We should just cut it off, and it would help the climate. It helps Ukraine. It helps the world.
You had mentioned YouTube, and you have a YouTube channel that we're going to actually be looking at one of your videos here in a minute. Is the YouTube channel primarily just your various designs and different houses and things that you've done?
Yeah, Environments by Rex, the YouTube channel. It has all different kinds of architecture, all different kinds of homes, offices. This idea that your environment is malleable and changes. It crosses everything. Restaurants, as I say, offices, homes. So yes, that's what you'd see there. But beyond that, I am also embracing our approach to life. And part of that's captured in the idea of this house sails as opposed to your house is a motorboat. So it's also philosophy. Another thing I'm working on that will be shown very soon is a tiny home. And so this tiny home produces enough electricity for the larger home it might be next to. So whereas your parents might be a little bit annoyed that you move in with a tiny home normally into their yard because you don't have another place to put it, my tiny home will actually produce enough electricity, enough energy for that tiny home and the house it's sitting next to. So these are some of the different topics I'm tackling.
How is the cost as it relates to an average home? Are we talking a lot more money for people to have to spend to this?
No, the answer is not more. And in fact, for the most part, I should say, yeah, I'd say the most part, the things that I'm doing are the use of the same architecture. So for instance, you'll see a kitchen that goes outdoors. So it's very simple, and you already have built your kitchen. We're just taking a piece of it and taking it outdoors. So there's a minor expense to allow it to go outdoors. But if you were planning on putting a kitchen outdoors, taking up real estate outdoors, maybe even putting a refrigerator out there, you've done something which is actually impactful to the environment. It's more stuff, it's more energy. Whereas my kitchen, the same kitchen going indoors and outdoors, it is actually green. You're doing more with less. Now, if you watch the kitchen and see this kind of idea that I'm speaking to, you'll notice that it has an amazing impact on the environment. So if I take a piece of the kitchen and it swings outdoors and the whole house and the exterior and interior conjoin, you can think to yourself intellectually, well, that sounds like a good idea. When you experience it, it's astonishing. It's astonishing what happens when we take the walls, the static nature of architecture, and we explode it out and allow things to move. Another thing that I'm right now in the middle of building is the whole living room going outdoors. Goes indoors and outdoors. So that's very little expense. It actually makes the house act 50% bigger. So again, actually a green product, not something expensive.
Is this type of house going to be practical for people who live in cold climates?
Yes, the answer is yes, but it's absolutely true that whatever you do with your architecture, as all architects do, they have to deal with the environment that they're located in. So the amount of explosion to the outside can vary depending on the climate you're in. But I'll just give you a simple example. I was interviewed by some people from England, and the living room goes outdoors. And you would think, well, it's not very practical for England. Their answer was that when the sun comes out, they love it so much, they want to get in it. So they liked the idea they could take their living room outdoors into the sunshine if it was only for 30 minutes a day. So it does depend on your environment. These all things have to be taken into account. But I would just say in general, the whole idea of the interior and the exterior connecting is a great thing.
Well, I think on that, we're going to have to wind this down. We're going to take a look at your video. Your video is called Indoor Outdoor Living Architecture. And we're going to run that as soon as we say goodbye. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Do you have a website that you want to give out?
Yes, you can go to www.environmentsbyrex.earth, as well as the YouTube channel Environments by Rex.
Okay.
That'd be great.
All right, great. Well, thank you again for coming on the show. It was nice meeting you, and best of luck with everything.
Very nice. Okay, thank you.
you.